So do you think that you're creating a new breed of learners here?
Ooh, interesting question.
Compared to what kids used to be like coming out of primary school?
I think so, yes. I think children are becoming more independent. I think they're getting more control of their own learning. They know they can do it anytime, any place, anywhere. And yeah, it brings more ownership, I think, to them.
So, what's going to happen when they go on to secondary school?
I talked to my year sixes about this, and they went, I don't know really, and they actually went, what, we won't have any computers at all? I said, yeah, I believe you may have computer suites. So I said, in the lesson we won't just have computers. And they said, what are we going to do then? And they seemed very surprised that they wouldn't have that instant ICT functionality when they go on to other schools, their next schools.
And do you think it's going to harm their learning?
I think it will make because it will then make them more reliant on the teacher, won't it? They won't have that ownership anymore. Possibly it will be whatever the teacher tells them is a learning they can do, and it may be also quite constricted because they can't go off and explore something like we've been able to and bring it all back together. They can't try out ideas, try out some typing maybe, or try out some story writing on the netbook first, because it is easier to edit and change and move things around on a netbook. I think there is still a place for writing, obviously, but it lets them try out ideas that they can then, in a finished form, maybe put into writing. Yes, I think they will find it different, and in some ways, maybe yes, I think it will also stifle their learning.
So are they significantly better learners now coming out of primary schools than used to be?
Yes, because they're independent, they're looking for themselves, they're not spoon-fed, they're not just relying on one person to give them information and filling up the vessel. They're filling up their own vessel, they're looking for themselves, and that it's a life skill. So not having somebody to tell them what to do. They might have somebody to start off the exciting process of what we're trying to, like we're looking at the Victorians, but then they're allowed to go off and explore and learning how to learn for themselves, really.
One of the most obvious things you see is the energy that children have for their learning. And probably that's one of the most remarkable things, in that it's not constricted to those sessions that you have in the classroom. It does spread beyond that. The Bratton Bulletin is a good case in point where children are going off using their own time. So the artificial boundaries that we put in place as an organisation called a school are just being pushed back that little bit. So the children are involved in the learning that we've designed for them outside the class. So it might be break, it might be dinner time, and it's at home as well because of the netbooks. And although a lot of our children do have access to the internet and a computer at home, having their own device puts them in control, and they're not having to negotiate its use, and they're doing what they want. And we're beginning to see, I think, anecdotally talking to children, and in some of the things that they produce as well, there's physical evidence, that children are actually doing more that we would call learning than they would have been before.